I'm sorry to keep you waiting. But we're about to go live. We're going to talk about both of these races in North Carolina. North Carolina 4.
Nothing in North Carolina 4. We got 1,000 votes out of El Paso.
The Democratic.
Okay. Oh, we got more than
a. Sorry, yeah, just for Texas 20.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi, y'all.
All right, folks, we had to come on here tonight to bring you the latest in results and reaction and analysis to the midterms, folks. All right, we're talking about the primaries that happened tonight in Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas. We had some shakeups. We're going to bring you all the latest. There are some that are very close right now, some decisions that have been made. So as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get us out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. Of course, we're live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. Again, we love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Breaking news, a couple of races. First, we got to talk about Jasmine Crockett in Tallarico. Looks like Crockett is going home. She is done. Ladies, thoughts there before we go over the rest of these races?
For sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm waiting until the clock strikes midnight with elections. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. It looks like, Tallarico's in the lead, but I am going to wait until the clock strikes midnight.
Right. Yeah.
So they said with 53% reporting at 10:05 tonight, she is trailing Tallarico by about 10 points. So that's roughly a little over 100,000 votes. Now, if she can pull that off, it would be something to see. But the way it's looking, it looks like Jazzy is going on home.
Yeah. And breaking, Dan Crenshaw and Steve Toth. It looks like Dan Crenshaw is done. I'm going to turn up the sound on this so you guys can hear.
day vote looks like. That's only early vote you're looking at. They want to make sure, it may seem unlikely, but they want to make sure that Crenshaw isn't winning the same day vote by like 30 points. Something. I mean, he would have to be winning it by 25, 30 points, something like that. Enough to offset that massive advantage that his challenger has gotten. So when we start getting early vote, if it looks anything at all like it did in the same day, we start getting same day vote. If it looks anything at all like we got in the early vote, that's probably it for Crenshaw.
Wow. Dan Crenshaw is done. Yeah. Nicole, your thoughts there? You think he has a chance or you think he's done?
I mean, there's always a chance. We don't know what same day voting is going to look like, but if it follows the typical pattern, he's cooked. He's cooked, and rightfully so. Somebody started out with so much promise and then kind of went the way of the dinosaur.
Here we have the Jasmine Crockett
now sits at 93,000. This has gone up about 15,000 votes just in the last 5 minutes. Why is that? Well, a big piece of real estate came in, big in terms of population. That's out in the West Texas town of El Paso. James Tallarico with a 27-point advantage over Crockett in the early vote there out of El Paso. This is like 3 or 4% of all the vote in the Democratic primary is coming out of El Paso County. It's not a surprise to see this after what else we've seen along the border and in South Texas.
Should we stick a pin in her? You think she's done, ladies?
Listen,
look, again, I'm always, when these elections, again, this is, he's 15,000 ahead or whatever that says 93. I'm just always leery because you notice he keeps saying the early votes. Of course, I think less than 60% of the precincts have already sent their votes in. So I'm just always leery. And I always say the Republic, well, this is the Democrats, but Democrats cheat. in my never to be humble opinion, Democrats cheat. So anything, they're going to do anything, everything. I know this is their own race, but I'm still going to wait to see who the contender is going to be against the Republican.
It's a really interesting consideration with this thing with Jasmine Crockett and Tallarico for two reasons. Number one, there was some cheating, and it was very public cheating. But was she smart enough to use that to her advantage? Of course not. Of course not. She was not smart enough to use it to her advantage, because when Tallarico and Chuck Schumer got him on Colbert show, and Colbert made it out like the Trump administration didn't want Tallarico to have the time, which had nothing to do with the Trump administration, had nothing to do with Brendan Carr, FEC chair, nothing at all. This was an internal decision to move from broadcast TV onto YouTube, but they did it in such a way that Tallarico was able to raise $2.5 million in 1 hour. So after a few days and some hubbub, just about when early voting started, they decided that, all of the affiliates would give her equal time so that they wouldn't get in trouble with Brendan Carr and they wouldn't get in trouble with the administration and the FEC. She says, well, we're already doing early voting. Girl, I would have been on every single channel for as long as they would have let me do it. Early voting or not. But, it was dirty pool, but, it is Democrat politics. She should have expected that.
Absolutely. Well, here she is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's come out and that's what she's basically saying. It was people they cheated. Here she is here talking.
To cast their vote, we should all be standing together, Democrats, Republicans, and we should all be raising hell. But unfortunately, this was always the plan. And so I am grateful for this court order. And as Congressman Allred has already stated, we encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So I am asking you, I am begging you to make sure that you go ahead and figure out where it is that you are supposed to vote, stand in line, wait in line, and if it means that I got to come out there with you to wait with you, I will do that.
Oh my gosh.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett speaking just within the last few minutes.
Oh Lord. Deep in the heart of Texas, there she go with her little southern drawl. Yeah. I mean, she is putting endings on her words, so I guess we can be happy about that. But she's talking about her own people. And not only that, you already see the crawl. The polls are staying open 2 hours later because of some kind of confusion. They're already deep in the heart of Texas. Ugh.
Staying up in 2 hours later on a Tuesday in a primary in a Republican state. So yeah, good luck with that. But with all of that said, there's going to be lots of lawsuits flying back and forth because she feels slighted. She feels slighted by the redistricting. She feels slighted by the whole Chuck Schumer, Tallarico, Colbert thing. She feels slighted because some people didn't go to vote at the right place or were turned away because they showed up at the wrong place. She feels slighted by all of this. But you know who should feel the most slighted? The voters in Texas.
Right.
They should absolutely feel slighted because she hogged up a congressional seat that could have went to someone who actually cared about their constituents and did the actual work instead of being a clown. And I mean an absolute clown for the Democrat Party. This is what happens. This is a cautionary tale to women in politics. When they ask you to step outside your character, when you get lauded for not how bright you are or the legislation you push forward, but because of your attitude, and they want to stick a microphone in your face when you're acting up, but when you're trying to make a thoughtful decision, they don't want to hear from you. Baby, it's not you. They're using you. This is a cautionary tale. And I'm telling you, she'll probably move back to Tennessee and run. That's probably a good place. Isn't she from Memphis, somewhere outside of Memphis?
Believe so, yeah.
It's a new headline just came through on my computer from The Hill. They're reporting that the Texas Supreme Court has halted that lower court ruling to extend the hours in Dallas. So it looks like Dallas is up for play in this Democratic primary. I don't know which one it is, if it's going to extend the voting or not. But so far, that's the headline that's coming through. But this is my question. Let me read the super chat. I'm sorry.
And you're right. Just before you do this, yes, they're saying that all voters who were not in line to vote in Dallas County before 7 p.m. have to be separated from the rest of the day's votes.
Okay, yeah, because they said separating the votes. Well, then if that's I don't know all the particulars, but if that's the case, if you were not in line, why even separate the vote? You just can't vote.
Yeah, that's no vote. The Supreme Court has ordered all votes cast by voters who were not in line to vote in Dallas County before 7 p.m. local time to be separated from the rest of the day's votes.
So there's two things going on. Mm-hmm. So those who were not in line were allowed to vote. So they're going to separate those. And they are not going to extend the voting hours now. That's what it sounds like.
The judge has issued an order extending voting in the Democrat primary only 2 hours after the county Democratic Party chairman filed a lawsuit after thousands of voters showed up at the wrong location.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Then the headline just says the Supreme Court of Texas halted that ruling to extend. So that's what I'm saying. It is some confusion going on right now. Look, if you're in Dallas, if you are in line, I'm just telling you this just because you vote. If you are in line and your polls have not closed, you get to vote. Okay, that's it. After that, take it up with your Supreme Court. Take it up with Jasmine. Maybe she can tell you what's going on. But we got a couple of super chatters here. Kung Fu CJ, thank you so much for your $2 super chat. He's asking, is there any more Supreme candidates alive? Oh, yeah. Glenda, thank you, Glenda, for your $10 super chat. Glenda says, thank you, ladies, for your awesome conservative, no-nonsense insight and commentary. Sincerely appreciate all your research. I look forward to each episode. Thank you, Glenda, so much.
That's very nice.
Glenda. Thank you for that. So it's again, Dallas, it's confusing, but anywhere in America, if you are in line when the polls close, you get to vote. But this leads me to my question. Why can't people get to vote on time? You got early voting, you have mail-ins, all kinds of drop-off points, and you have, of course, the day of the election. What is it that people can't get to vote nowadays?
I think what it is, Shelley, is some people probably decided that, they weren't going to vote or it wasn't a priority for them. And then they probably heard the radio. Jasmine's going to lose. And you know how we do at the last minute. Oh, this is the race that I love.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring forward. We have he's talking about this now.
Mom has not even reached 22 level when a 6-point margin in Durham County was not enough for her to win district-wide. And then Wake County alum winning the same day vote that we've seen. But she's not winning it by a massive margin. So the most outstanding vote in this district is in Wake County.
See, we got Dallas County in Texas.
We got Dallas. Geez. Same day, early vote down. Okay, wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do we know if this is the 8 to 10 o'clock vote? Do we know the status of that vote?
Just the total vote?
We don't know we don't know the status.
Yeah, that's just for the Dallas.
Before I get into this, we want to we're going to go into news now and talk about this. Folks, not a good number for your Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
The Crockett is cooked. All right.
Statewide, she's below, but in Dallas County in particular, that's what he was. Okay.
They have Crockett on right now. Am I still going?
They've given us
still trailing them by 100,000
They're
votes.
taking Crockett is speaking right now. I'm just. She said as a result till tomorrow, but I want to say this whole legal issue about these. Sorry, I'm stumbling because I think they're going to come back here
on this because Steve, I think the question now, and you heard her lay this out. She says if we don't have the results in Dallas, where she's expected to do fairly well, a stronghold for her, we don't have the votes for tonight. So let me ask you. I don't know if we know. Will the vote in Dallas make enough of a difference at this point in the race?
We just got the vote from Dallas. Now, we don't know if this is that whole issue of the 2-hour window you're talking about. So I want to say that, before I show you this, but we did get a substantial amount of vote in Dallas. This is the early vote. So I don't know what's going to happen in Dallas County after this, but this is the early vote. This is the vote cast before Election Day. Okay, about 60%, and give or take of what the total will be. Crockett winning this by 22 points here. Now, that is a difference of 43,000 votes over Tallarico. What that does statewide, you can see that Tallarico number back down to 70,000. It had crept there up, over 110,000. In fact, she just gathered some more votes somewhere else, and it ticked down a little. But you see it brought it down to 70,000. But it is still a 70,000 vote advantage statewide for Tallarico. And that early vote out of Dallas is, we think, well over half the total vote. Whatever it ends up being, we think it's well over than half. She was able to net 43,000 plurality with well over half of it, and she still trails statewide by 70,000 votes.
So she's probably not going to concede or anything until everything comes in.
No, she's not going to concede.
I wouldn't either. I mean,
right.
Who would? But again, this is why I'm always waiting down to the wire, because 70,000 votes. Granted, he's in the lead statewide, but that's not a big hurdle, particularly if she's already in the lead in the early voting in Dallas County, no less. But
more news out. So this is good news, at least for me. Sarah Huckabee has won her. I think she went
uncontested.
Yeah, she was uncontested.
Right. So she won easily. Roy Cooper and Michael Watley cruised to victory as well. Yes. So just in case you all are just coming in, Dan Crenshaw is getting crushed. Looks like he is not going to win his race. And unfortunately, for us at least, what's his name? Wesley Hunt is not winning his race as well. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to Arkansas. You mentioned Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Of course, she's the governor now, the daughter of Mike Huckabee, who was the governor before, and things like that. But now she ran uncontested. But this guy, Fred Love, I think he was leading on the Democrat side. So it looks like those are going to be the two in the general election for governor of Arkansas. I don't know much about him, Nicole. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, he's a state senator. He's a long-term state senator and a Black man. So if he were to win, he would be the first, how do they say that now? Minority governor and the first Democrat in more than a decade.
In Arkansas, as they say.
Yeah, but there's the chance of him winning. It is, a snowball surviving in Southwest hell on a hot day against Sarah Huckabee. She absolutely is beloved. I mean, you take a state that was struggling with education, struggling with the economy, struggling with all of this, and she's turned all that around. And the Democrats there are running against her school voucher program, her school choice program, which is wickedly popular. So it makes no sense. Democrats believe that if we put all of our tax dollars in the public schools, then everybody succeeds. Well, that's not true. It's been proven over and over and over and over again to not be true. We fund public schools, especially in Baltimore, much more than we do anywhere else in the state, and they have almost a 21% dropout rate. So the money doesn't fix it. It's just not what happens. And I think she's done tremendous things for that state, and she's well beloved, Yeah,
they love her. They've been loving her for a long time.
She's like their niece, their cousin. They watched her grow up with Mike Huckabee. So
cousin fifth removed, Sarah Huckabee, cousin fifth removed.
But I think it's a big thing with her that she wants to do the best by her state, and I think she's doing a bang up job there.
Yeah, let's change gears just a little bit. We'll get back to the primary and talk about the news out today. An embarrassing interview or press release, not press release, but an interview with Hakeem Jeffries and Bill Malugin. Take a look here. I want to get you ladies' thoughts on this exchange over the current Iran attacks. Of course. And this was a very good question asked by Bill Malugin.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now. I mean, I don't even understand the genesis or basis of that question. Not suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went on for 7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, I was not in Congress at the time. We're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it, without any justification that there was.
Before we go, he wasn't expecting him to say it went on for 7 months. Then he had to say, oh, I wasn't in Congress at that point. Right?
Well, it wasn't me, but let me try to explain somebody else to you. Yeah.
Here you go.
Going to be a preeminent assault or attack on the United States of America, either in our homeland or as it relates to our interests in the Middle East. The administration is not even pretending like they have intelligence or information at this point, publicly. And certainly there's been nothing that has been presented to us privately to justify a preemptive strike of this nature that has triggered an all-out war in the Middle East. And by the way, Donald Trump is the one who said in the aftermath of the 12-day war that Iran's nuclear program has been completely and totally obliterated. Not my words, his words. So was he lying to the American people then, or is he lying now?
Oh, nice.
And he tried to suggest a few days.
He cracks me up trying to spin. This man, he spins like a damn square. You can't get around them tight ass edges. Let me tell you, he's a horrible politician, and all the hand gesturing doesn't change the words that come out of his mouth. He was caught dead to rights on that Pelosi question. You saw conservatives and Republicans all over the nation posting that he's well within his rights to have this conflict. We are doing what we need to do. It will not take 7 months. However, it does have the Democrats on their back foot again. Remember what I told you. Watch and see. He's turning up the volume on them. And what's going to happen is they're drinking from the fire hose again. And it'll be right about the midterms. And Hakeem will be off of his game. Chuck will be hiding. AOC will be trying to determine which nations are above the equator and which ones are below the equator. Jazzy Crockett will be packing up her desk. Al Green will pack up his cane, take his ass back to Texas. All of these things brought to you by 45 and 47. You're welcome. You're welcome, America. You're welcome.
Yeah, I pray that's the way it goes. I pray that's the way it goes. But I thought, first off, he looks really sickly. He reminds me of something. He looks like he's got clammy palms. You know how you shake somebody's hand and their palms are real wet. That's what he gives me the vibe of. He's got real clammy palms. He looks so sickly. But
Marjorie said it looks like his cologne stink.
Yeah. I don't know. Something's not right with him. And they do call him Timu Obama, and that's the correct name for him. But one thing he has said that has been the talking point for the Democrats is, President Trump said that he had obliterated all of the nukes last year, and now he's going back and saying this is the reason why he's going into Iran. Why? So which one is it? As he's saying, he's insinuating that he's lying. So one thing I want. Well, first, let me give you. Shelley, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, so that does seem to be one of the, I guess, sticking points, if you will. Right. And again, the polls are showing, and I'm going with the independents. I expect Republicans to largely support President Trump. I expect the left to largely not support him. The independents are trying to figure this out as well. And that particular point is one of the sticking points. Okay, President Trump, you said back in, I think, June that they were obliterated. So which is it? That's just what the polls are showing.
Right. Yeah, they are.
People aren't listening. So, America only listens for about the first 10 seconds of things. So let me give it to you straight. Trump said ballistic missiles. This is what he said. This is what Marco said. This is what Trump said. It's what Sec War said. Ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles. Did you hear nuclear in there anywhere? But everybody's so razzle-dazzle. Again, the way that, think of it this way, like a bullet, right? So the projectile is inside the casing. If you have the casing, getting the projectile is not that hard, right? If you have the means to get it to where it needs to be, and they're already saber rattling with you, and they're working hard every day to churn out more of those and more drones than anybody else in the region. Why? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? They're not doing it for self-protection. They're an Islamic country in the Middle East. That's not what they're doing it for. While they're steady saying death to America and we're going to attack your bases and we're coming after you, we would be foolish to wait until we've been attacked. So Trump is damned if he does and damn if he doesn't. How many American lives had to be lost for people to take this threat seriously? Do we want to go back to 1953 and start counting? I mean, come on now. At some point, America has got to stop being this kumbaya condemnation. We didn't become a superpower by being warm and damn fuzzy. That's not how this works. You want to go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow under the stars and stripes. Some 20-year-old put his life on the line to give you that grace.
For America.
For America.
I want
to, and this is, Nicole, you know, again, this is not even about you. This is not you, of course. And you know me. I love President Trump as much as anybody on this panel, but I don't get a check from the RNC, so I don't. But so my questions would be: I do want politicians. You know, I hold both sides. I'll say both sides, and you know, but I do want politicians to be clear, particularly when the lives of our military is on the line. I do want them to be clear about that. And so basically, what I'm going to say, what the independents are really saying, or what the polls are showing, is that when we say all the time, anything that comes out of a politician's mouth, you can pretty much be sure that they're lying, right? All we want is clarity. Again, I want Israel, I want American troops and Israeli troops to be safe over in the Middle East. I am losing no tears. I'm kind of shouting like with the Ayatollah is gone as well. I know that Iran is a state sponsor. I am not necessarily upset. I'm not even upset about them taking him out or going over there. We just want clarity, particularly when we do have, again, as much of the polls are showing in America, we have issues here that are still unaddressed. And for me, the bottom line is I'm tired of it. I've been saying that I'm tired of Americans having to always be on the back burner, but yet we're the ones who are giving up the most.
Well, let's talk about, so when you think back to last year when they struck everything, right after, of course, President Trump said it was obliterated. And guess what? It looked obliterated at the time. Then you go in, you have they have their operatives on the ground, you have intelligence looking into it, and instead of obliterated, it was crippled. Okay, so I would say it was crippled, not cremated. All right, and so the Pentagon, when the Pentagon went back and looked at it, they were reported to say Iran's program got set back about 2 years. Okay. With centrifuges smashed, buildings cratered, and enrichment halted. All right. Fast forward to today. Now, we already knew that President Trump admitted, and also independents, Megyn Kelly admitted, that the intelligence report said that Israel was going to go in and bomb them anyway. So this was the perfect time to jump on board. The U.S. partnered with Israel to jump on board with it because, and President Trump said this as well, if Israel went in and bombed, you knew that they were going to retaliate, and American resources would have been hurt if they retaliated, if they did that prior to us taking advantage. So this is where we are now, where they have this new Operation Epic Fury with Israel. And guess what happened? Now they hurt them extremely bad because we have a regime change in Iran. Okay. So not only did we blow up their stockpiles, the hidden ones at least, but now we have the program is done. The hidden stockpiles are done. And we have regime change, which was ripe for the time because you had people within Iran that were working. The people were in behind this now as well.
Yeah,
that's how I'm looking at it.
No, I can agree with that strategy. Joining in with Israel at this time, I agree. I can agree with that strategy from a military perspective, no doubt about that. But except we don't have regime change right now. We don't. It's up in air. There are so many different factions. No one has taken over yet. They don't have that. So this is the part that, again, that we talked about this before. We don't do a good job with quote unquote regime change. We just don't.
Well, when I say regime change, I mean the old regime are dead. So
we don't know that. No, the figureheads are dead. They still have this stuff is so entrenched with that IRGC or IGRC, whatever it is. This is so entrenched in that that structure of Iran. Millions of people, yes, millions of the civilians want a change, but the culture, the religion, the government structure is so entrenched, hard-lined, if you will. So we don't have regime change. I'm not saying that it won't be. I'm just saying at this time we don't have it. And as far as the U.S. is concerned, we don't have a great track record in doing that.
Okay, what are your thoughts there, Nicole?
Listen, I'm an American. Let me do this so we can. I don't give a fat rat about their regime change. They can pick the same folk 3, 4, 5, 6 times. As long as they're not coming after us, that's their personal problem. Again, if they choose a theocracy, that's what they have to live under. We are not going to rebuild their nation for them. This is what I said before. They have to find their feet. The people in Venezuela have to find their feet. But I don't care who they pick. If they saber rattle against the United States, if they threaten us with weapons that we can't protect immediately our people from, you're going to be dealt with, period. And that's a Democrat president, a Republican president, an independent president. This is what we do. We will protect the United States of America. We will protect the homeland. We will protect our people. They could go out and get the Three Stooges. Makes me no difference. Whoever they pick is who they pick. But if they try to hurt the United States of America, they will feel our wrath. Full stop.
Yeah. And I agree.
Everything else is just, background noise.
Yeah. And as far as President Trump, I know I've said this before, and we know how President Trump, he loves hyperbole. We get that, right? But there are just some things that President Trump should not be speaking on. He should not give the speeches for some things, okay? Because of his love of hyperbole and things like that. I think that aids to sometimes, just like he did when he gave that health czar meeting with all the doctors up there. He should not have delivered that speech. He should have let Dr. Oz or whomever else give that speech. It would have been a much more, I think, well received and not so much confusion. I get it. He's the commander in chief, but again, the public has a right to ask, even challenge. And again, it does not mean that if you're a Republican and you're kind of like, okay, where are we? You're trying to feel your way. It doesn't mean that you are anti-Trump or even on the left. There are some people who do support it. So this is what I mean about bringing more of the picture, if you will, the full picture, and having these questions, if you will, debated or whatever, discussed, because these are good questions and it helps us get more information, more clarity, and then people they will make up their own minds, basically.
And they'll have the same damn questions they had before he brought clarity. We've been doing this for 4 days, right? We are just now finding out stuff about Vietnam. He's not going to lay his playbook out so the gossip mongerers can gossip. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to protect American life. We're going to go over there and kick some ass, and we're going to come home. Once everybody's back home, ask away. What did you eat yesterday? What kind of socks did you wear? People will answer all of your questions. But while there are American troops in harm's way, I need everybody under these stars and stripes to be absolutely pro-America. You put your TDS on hold for just a hot minute and stand behind the people who give you the good grace of walking around this nation like we're the only people on the planet. Travel abroad. They don't have that luxury. They don't. Women especially don't. We have got to get our heads in the game in this nation. We really do. It bothers me greatly when people say, oh, well, that's the troops' job. Nobody signs up to die. That's not what the job is. There's no job that says sign here so you can die. Fight for your country, stand on principle, and the country should stand behind you. That's what I believe.
That leads to whole other points of discussion, Nicole. We can have another time. But let me read the super chats. Let's see what they say. Let's see. We have Glenda Stucker. Thank you, Glenda. Again, I think I read that one. For you $10 super chat. I have I can see it here. Marjorie, Papa Naya Shelley. Okay, I think that's right. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Another Black Democrat tool broken and discarded. I think you were talking about Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Black, thank you for your $5 super chat. The Michigan House Dem Black lady just quit the Democrat Party, says they are morally bankrupt and cannot reconcile. Published today. Karen Wissett, thank you. We have Carol Mathis, thank you for your $2 super chat. She says, I'm from Texas and I will feel sorry if she gets in, referring to Jasmine Crockett again. We have another one here. Rio's Family Garden, thank you for coming, one of our YouTube members. Thank you. Mad Mardigan, thank you for your $5 super chat. The difference with Iran and regime change is that the citizens want it. I wasn't aware until recently that 60 to 65% of them are not Muslim. Thank you, Mad Mardigan. Miracle on Ice, thank you for your $5 super chat. We didn't take out all the nuclear facilities the first time. Trump warned them, and here we are now. All right. And I think we have one more. Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $5 super chat. That's right, Nicole. Ted Kennedy told the Russians everything we were doing.
He sure did.
Thank you, Kung Fu, for that. We have one more. I think we have one more. Okay. Wait, I see one right now. Papa No Shelley, I think for your $2 super chat, another Black Democrat tool broken and discarded.
You did that one.
I did that one. Okay. Okay, thank you all for your super chats here. We are on tonight for a special, just a rundown of the primaries going on, and we just thank you for being here. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Lydia says for her $10, you ladies are wonderful. Keep it up, and some hugs or kisses and love to us. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Thank you. Listen, Al Green is done.
Al
Green is toast. Pack up that desk, baby. Pack it up. He can go to Texas and shake that cane at somebody else.
Yes, you guys remember Al Green. He's the one that, firstly, he's called for President Trump to be impeached multiple times, and he's the one with the cane that's always screaming during the legislative meetings. So
the State of the Union, in the joint meeting, he's the angry old man that says, "Get off my lawn." That's who he is.
He's the one looks like a bear.
Yes.
We have a photo of him here. Let's see.
Oh, that's right. He pulled the fire alarm, I think. Right? Is he the one?
Yeah, that's him.
So the crazy thing about it is, when after Texas redistricting, he changed his district because there were now Republicans that he would have to court in that district. So he decided to go to Texas 18 and run in Christian Menifee's district. Well, Christian Menifee is an elected congressman. He's like, hold on, what are you doing in my district? This is my district. Find yourself another district. And so there was an inherent fight between them. And let me tell you, Christian Menifee kicked his butt on the campaign trail. So all of that hyperbolic conversation he was having about, this kid is young, he doesn't know what he's doing, and this and that. Apparently, he read a book. Apparently, he figured it out, because somebody's going home to shake his cane at the kids walking on his lawn, and it's not Chris.
Yes, indeed. So you know what I gotta say? Nah, 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 nah. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye.
Loving every minute of it. In other salacious news, Mark Teixeira, former, I think he was the first baseman for the New York Yankees, won his Republican primary in Texas. Wow. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing what he's going to do in the general. It's going to be a very interesting time.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We got some more. Breaking news. Jasmine Crockett, she is on here now, crying about saying that the whole thing was cheating. They were cheating, and she's even blaming the Republicans for cheating somehow. Let me see here. Do I have this woman is just nuts.
We tried to help her. We tried our best to help her. Everybody wanted Jazzy J to win.
Yeah,
come on, Jazzy. Easy to defeat. Let's go.
Right. She's so her ego is so bloated. She just the first thing they always go to is you cheated. Here we go.
A lot of confusion today. And so, our Democratic Party chair, Cardall Coleman, he beat me to the punch. as myself and Colin all read, we're about to file a lawsuit to keep the voting polls open. We were able to keep the polls open, but I can tell you now that people have been disenfranchised. The reason that we knew that there were problems is because we were receiving the phone calls and the emails. The polls were supposed to stay open until 9, according to a court order. The Supreme Court, just a few minutes ago, just said, shut it down. The Supreme Court also said that they are to separate any votes out that came in after 7 p.m. So here's the deal. I have no idea how it is that clerks are going to know who was in line by what time, because the rule is that if you're in line by 7, then you get to vote. And so once there was a court order saying you had until 9, I'm sure that there were people that joined the line after 7. They now are telling them that you have to separate the votes out. What this means is that we will not know what votes are to be tallied from Election Day out of Dallas County. For sure, we won't know that tonight. So knowing that Dallas County is a big dump of votes, we, in my opinion, will not know the election results overall tonight. We need to see the Dallas County votes to see where they are. I mean, if the early vote comes in, which we may have the early vote soon, if it comes in and I'm losing Dallas County, then we know kind of where this thing is going.
All right.
That's what we said earlier. She was already ahead. This is what I don't understand. Why do these things seem to always take place in heavily Democratic districts? And these are 2 Democrats that are running. I don't get it. Why did this seems to always be the confusion in those districts when it's heavily Democrat? So you mean to tell me again, the polls are supposed to close at 7 p.m., I guess Central Time, or I don't know if they're Central or Eastern Time, but the polls are supposed to close 7 p.m. Okay, polls are supposed to close 7 p.m. Then you mean just today, people didn't know that the polls closed at 7 p.m. and they were waiting for that Supreme Court to say, stay open 2 hours later, and then the other court or the district court, and then the Supreme Court said no. Come on, this is always
they don't like to follow the They don't like to follow the rules. Okay, that's number one. Number two, why do we continue to have all this chaos with the early voting as well? Early voting. I keep saying this every election cycle. We need to get rid of all this early voting. It should be voting day, not voting month, not voting week. You know, I understand you have absentee voting, but ever since COVID, we have had so much confusion and issues due to this early voting. And it shouldn't be this way. You get up and you vote on voting day.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole with you guys because, like I told KJ, this is like my NFL playoffs, right? I love elections. Elections just, I'll be up all night with my little chart, making my little graphics. I'll be up all night, right? Come with me, y'all. This is going to be a fun ride. All right. So say you are Jasmine Crockett, and it's a little bit apparent to you that you're losing. What can you do? What do you think you could do to impact the vote enough to either have another election, right? Because it was so egregious that you were cheated. People were disenfranchised. Voters didn't get the vote. You turned people away. What can you do to cause something that big that would make this election something that was so egregious that people would want to do over? Would that give you more time to try to motivate Dallas County to show up on a Tuesday before 7 p.m. to cast a vote? I think there's some dirty pool here, but I don't think it's all Tallarico. I think Jasmine and her team had a hand in some of the foolishness that's happening here. Now, I will say this. She's right. Dallas County has a large minority voting block. Also, She knows Dallas has a large minority voting bloc. Why not ensure that the majority of your votes know where they need to go to vote? That seems prudent, unless, of course, you needed a reason to say that this vote needed to be done over again. What I'm saying is this: I don't trust her. I don't trust Tallarico, but I especially don't trust her, especially in the way that she keeps dragging Colin Allred in this. This man ain't got a damn thing to do with her and her shenanigans, but she keeps dragging him into this. This is what I like to call a Jasmine special. In this rabbit hole, she orchestrated a lot of this foolishness where people not knowing where to go vote, especially where they're the majority of the votes that she's counting on. Something's not right here. 1 + 1 is not giving us 2 in this situation. So if she wants an investigation, I'm going to go ahead and volunteer my time to come down and take a look at it for her. As a former election chief judge, I would love to come down to Dallas County. You ain't even got to pay for my hotel. I got family in the area. I want to check it out for myself and see what really happened. What really, really happened. And if you really thought you were cheated, someone was cheating you, would someone else have to file that lawsuit for you, you civil rights attorney? There's something that's not right. It's not adding up. Hate to sound like, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think she'd do anything to win. And when she saw it slipping away from her, she started doing some things that are pretty low rent to disenfranchise some voters.
To your point, Allred, he is the Democratic Party chair in that county. Is that what it is in Dallas County? Or
no, he was the guy who was running for the seat before she decided to run for the seat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's in a whole other race.
So then how does she blame him for something?
Well, she's not blaming him. She's bringing up his name. So, if you're a Black person and you feel like you've been disenfranchised by the white people who run your party, the first thing you're going to do is try to rally other Black folk. Again, she's right from the disgruntled Black woman playbook. She's reading like chapter and verse at this point. And it is so apparent that Texas is over her in a major kind of way, because for the Supreme Court to make that decision on a hair trigger, we were in the middle of talking about it and you were like, woo, the Supreme Court just said, yeah, they were prepared for her level of foolishness. For her level of foolishness. It's over, girl. Wow. It's over.
I mean, and then I thought about this. She mentioned something about the phone calls. Again, it seems to be always in the heavy Democrat areas that these people get these phone calls telling them to go vote somewhere they're not supposed to go vote. If you are over 18, 21, you mean to tell me you don't know where to go vote? You waiting for this spam phone call to come and say, no, go here, or the post. Come on. How many people literally, when you hear those spam calls, most of us hang up anyway. So why are they the only ones that listen to them on election day?
You tell me this. You show me any population of Black folk or Hispanic folk or any minority group that answers their phone for a number they don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm going to sit here and wait for you. Wait for you.
Exactly.
Girl, bye. Again,
you hear them phones, you answer the phone, you hear that little whatever sound in the background. 95% of us hang up the phone anyway. So why am I on election day going to all of a sudden take a call and it's going to tell me, oh no, you're supposed to go vote here, or the polls don't close at 6, they close at 10. Come on.
Anyway, in better news, Chip Roy is headed to a runoff for Texas AG. So we'll see how that's going to play out. There are going to be some really incredible contests coming up a little bit later on in the summer for these runoffs, or in the spring for these runoffs. This is an incredible thing that's happening in Texas, because a lot of these people thought that they would cruise to victory, and they're not cruising.
So what's that mean then? I mean, what's that mean for the actual midterms in November?
It'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll have a better candidate, right? So, I think for this particular race that's on the screen, the Paxton Cornyn Hunt race, if Wesley Hunt wasn't in that race, we would have a definitive runner. You take a look at the numbers, somebody's got to get, I think 51% in order to push forward to be the nominee. His candidacy, and Wes Hunt is a friend of mine. I think he's amazing. He's an amazing person. But like he had to run for the House a couple of times, he's definitely going to have to run for the Senate a couple times. Yeah.
Well, they are talking across the news. They're saying that Democrat turnout was much higher than Republican turnout in many of these races, particularly in Texas. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you think that will impact the midterms?
I think we have work to do, especially in red places. In red places, what happens is people assume they're just going to win. This we were just talking about it. They assume that they have the votes. So you spend a lot of time what we call motivating the base, rallying the base. So there's some work that's going to have to be done. And again, the president is doing all he can, but every state has their own GOP, and within that GOP, they have foot soldiers, central committee men, or some people call them committee men, to go out and deal with their district, to make sure that every Republican in that district casts a ballot. So they've got work to do. They've got a lot of work to do, and it's apparent in the numbers. But somebody in the chat asked if Wes Hunt was so great, how come white people didn't vote for him? I don't think it's the problem that he had with white folks. I think the problem that Wes Hunt had was with Black people. Again,
that was in the numbers as well, the data. Yeah. He actually lost percentage wise from the Black areas.
Yes. Right. So he represents currently a very white Republican district. So he doesn't have a problem with his well-educated, well-spoken, happy married man self with white folks. It's a problem that he has with Black people. So.
Yeah. Well, I think as far as the Republicans in the midterms coming up, I already thought we were going to have some problems or some challenges to overcome, particularly because, again, I think I had this sense that Republicans in general, we're kind of just coasting along, we're lax, and we're riding on Trump's coattails while President Trump is not on the ballot. And then again, midterms, I think I got the sense that we're kind of just taking it for granted, right? We can't do that. Whoever the candidates are that come out in these primaries, we cannot take it for granted. Remember, I'm calling this our growing up period, because President Trump is not on the ballot. He's not going to be. This midterm does kind of set the stage for us for the next 2 years, and certainly for the 2028 elections. We must get out to vote.
Absolutely. And we have to motivate the base. And that's the thing. People who are like us, people who are, political junkies, and the people who love them are going to vote. However, that's not enough. We need what we call low propensity voters to vote. And some people vote top of the ticket. When I say top of the ticket, they vote in every presidential election, haven't missed one since they were eligible, but have never voted in a primary, have never voted in what they like to call an off-year election, right? And that is where Republicans lose seats. This is what happened in Miami. This is how that Democrat won that seat in Texas, although I give them credit, there was a storm. But if the Democrats could waddle out in the water, why couldn't you? So there's a lot of reasons why people don't vote for a certain or particular person. There may be race, probably not so much a factor in this thing with Wes Hunt, but there were lots of rumors that went around saying that he didn't show up for enough votes for some people in Texas, and they like Cornyn. They like what they already have. So in order to replace, you're a whole human being. If there's something in your home that you really like, and someone comes in and takes it away and gives you something new, you may not like that. You may like the old thing that you had. Cornyn is hard to defeat because people like him. The people of Texas have liked him 7 times, I think, thus far. So,
I was going to say, they've been liking him for a long
30
time.
years he's been sitting in this seat. But, sometimes that new thing is better, but it takes you a while to warm up to the new thing. Yeah. So there are a lot of reasons.
All right, let's see what our super chatters say. We have Kung Fu CJ again. Green is the silverback that makes trouble. Thank you for your $2, Kung Fu. We have another one, Kung Fu CJ, $2.
Sorry.
I can read them right here, KJ. Don't worry about it. Jasmine Crocodile, we tried to help you as
we tried our best.
Thank you, Kung Fu. Chop it up. Josh Pollard, thank you for your $10 super chat. He says, but I thought blaming voter fraud was against our democracy. I guess it only goes against the Republicans. That's a repeat there. I guess not. Thank you, Josh, for that. And then Kung Fu CJ again for your $2 super chat. We thank you. Democrats voted for Trump in 2016. Mistake.
So I want to ask you ladies, because you both have mentioned this, that Republicans have to turn out for these midterms. It's not it's not even a question that we must turn out in droves. All right. And again, President Trump will not be on the ticket. So what are the issues that you believe will drive conservatives to the polls? Nicole, I'll start with you.
Impeachment, right? Because let me tell you, if the Democrats take control of the House of Representatives, the nothing that they've gotten done this last term is going to be exacerbated by the nothing they're going to do the next term, except impeachment proceedings. They're going to do everything they can to impeach this president every single opportunity that they have. So if you think they're not doing anything now, you just wait. That is going to be a motivating factor. But if you're looking for people who are political thinkers, Trump needs help. He needs help. He needs help to get all of this culture war stuff that he's done across the finish line and codified. Shelley talks about this all the time. This is a thing. It's one thing to live by executive order. It's something else to have it written in law. So people can't come back and undo all the things that he's done. So we need legislators to do that. And Democrats are not going to do that. All they're going to do is impeach, 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 impeach. If Trump sneezes, they're going to say he's too sick. If he trips up a step, oh my God, he's got dementia. It's going to be nonstop. And they have the legacy media in their pocket. So it's going to be a steady drumbeat of how he's unfit. This is the reason why. If we want to continue to win our culture wars and set America straight, he's going to need help. And that is the rally cry to get people out to vote.
I think another rally cry along with impeachment, another I'm going to call it immigration. And I think if we're waiting for that decision from the Supreme Court, that birthright decision, depending on when that comes down, that I think has the ability to spark the Republicans to get up and vote, or unfortunately, the opposite would be that they don't, right? But depending on how the Supreme Court rules, we need to still get out and vote, because guess what? If let's just say the decision doesn't go in our favor, right? That means that the Democrats are going to use that to run on. And remember, the Democrats want to expand the court. They want to add DC as the 51st state or whatever. So they want to expand. They want to add Puerto Rico. So they want to expand, of course, to their benefit. These are still important issues. I can also say taxes, always the economy, stupid. The economy, taxes, anything that's going to increase our taxes, make them worse, that's going to drive Republicans to vote. My point is this: we shouldn't have to wait there. We should go do it, and we should just go do it. We need to vote, and we need to codify these things now. That would give us a positive incentive as well. Not waiting for the negative ones, but we have the positive ones to go and do it. That Pavlov's dog, that positive motivation, if you will. That's what we need.
Absolutely, folks. This is game time. I mean, I know every election we say this is the election. This is life or death. And I'm not going to say so far. Well, honestly, it is life or death. I mean, under Biden, these last 4 years, we saw he actually changed this country more than even Obama, I would say. What he allowed to happen on the border, what they codified in education and this gender ideology and all of this stuff. I think those things that they put in the Biden agenda did more harm to our country than anything we've ever seen. And they know they can do it now. So if they win the House and they win the Senate, they could easily impeach President Trump. All right. They can impeach President Trump. A lot of times he's been impeached in the House, but because we had control of the Senate, they couldn't go all the way. If they get both chambers of House, President Trump is gone. All right. Not only that, but let's talk about the border. You both brought that up and what they did. Kristi Noem testified today under oath. Listen to what she said that the Biden White House did.
Accompanied alien children were lost by the Biden administration, not tracked. We've located about 145,000 of them, and we've done that through the investigative work of our Homeland Security Investigations team. They are phenomenal at the work that they do, and they specialize in child trafficking, sex trafficking, and finding individuals that would perpetuate that harm against our children. The one thing that has been challenging is that under the Biden administration, the government paid sponsors in HHS in order to host these children. And those sponsors, many times, we found instances where they trafficked these children themselves. So under that administration, we not only had children that were in this country as a part of a program, the government was paying individuals that were knowingly trafficking them and abusing them. That has stopped. We have gone through and found these children and put them back with their families when we have the opportunity to do so, and with loved ones that will care for them. And I would say that even in one case, we have other countries where we've been working with them to get their children back home, where we've been prevented returning these families back and helping them to be reunified by activist judges. But we will continue to work to ensure that these individuals and these children that were abused by the trafficking over the border have the opportunity to be brought back to their families.
Folks, do you understand that? So not only did Biden open the border and facilitate the largest human trafficking operation this country has ever seen, but once they got here and the people they so claim set up to take these children were then trafficking them and putting them out in the streets. This is horrible.
Yeah. First of all, they're going after Kristi Noem so many different ways from Sunday. But I wanted to pick up on something. We all mentioned it about immigration impeachment, and I looked this up really quickly last week. If talking about the election strategy, if the Republicans don't come out to vote in the midterm and the Democrats get the House and the Senate, they will impeach and convict President Trump. That means he cannot override that. He will not be able to override his own impeachment. He will be tried. He will leave office. Of course, JD Vance will. I'm just saying, I'm playing it out from a Democratic perspective. JD Vance will become president. There's going to be all kind of movements. Of course, there'll be a new Speaker of the House, a new Senate president. Both will be Democrats, and they are going to keep so much turmoil going that is going to weigh down the psyche, if you will, of the American public, so that when 2028 comes, JD Vance will not be elected. This is how they're playing it out. I mean, this is what I suspect. That's what I suspect is happening. That's what they want to happen.
Wow. Yeah. This is
President Trump will be removed from office midterm if we do not keep the House and the Senate.
Wow. Folks, wake up. Wake up. It's no time to remain silent. We need to speak out. We need to get out the vote. Speak to your neighbors, speak to your friends, your family. We have a country to keep. All right. Not saying we have a country to save, but we have a country to keep.
Absolutely. So we have a couple of super chatters here. I think one more. We have Eva. Thank you for your $10 super sticker, Eva. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, you guys, in that chat, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you get your merch. Nicole, you already talked about the merch, I think, Nicole, right? But anyway, make sure you get your merch. We have some new shirts, some hats, t-shirts, hoodies, all kinds. I did put the link in there earlier for your merch. Go ahead and if you don't see the link, go to our YouTube page and go under store. And again, shop until your heart's content. Thank you so much for all of your support.
So I'm watching my results for my Democrat on Democrat violence race. You know how much I love that, right? So it is North Carolina 4 with Valerie Fauci and Nydia Alam. So these two women have run against these are Democrats, have run against each other at the local level, at the state level, and Fauci has always beaten the younger Islamic Alam. So Alam says she ran against Fauci for this congressional seat because Fauci is not obnoxious enough to President Trump. She needs her to be more like Jasmine Crockett, more like the Squad. You should be shouting out. You're too quiet. So this is the reason why she says she's running against her for this. And there's a fairly significant age difference between these women, but that notwithstanding, it's gotten pretty rowdy. Alam is at 48% and Foshi's at 49.4%. So it's a pretty close race. They're only separated by a couple thousand votes. So this is the race that I'm wanting to see what happens. Will the voters in North Carolina go with the new Jasmine Crockett, except for, she'll have on drapes instead of weave? Or will they stick with the woman who is doing their bidding pretty well? She brought home money, and that's, I guess, what they expected her to do, back to her constituency. What will it be? Will it be another squad member or the tried and true woman who helps them out? It's a very interesting case study to see where the heads of Democrats actually are.
Wow. All right, folks. We will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, check that notification bell so you are informed when we go live. All right, we'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. live for you all. Final thoughts, ladies. I'll start with you, Shelley. Final thoughts for tonight.
Just encouraging Republicans get out to vote, independents get out to vote. Well, depending on where you are, but our primaries here in Maryland start in June, I think 23rd, I think it is. So that's when our primaries start. Also, early voting starts in June. I want to say June the 11th, around that time frame in Maryland. But Republicans get out to vote. We have plenty of people on the ballot. No excuse not to vote.
All right, Nicole, final thoughts.
I love it. I love it. My final thoughts. I love it. I will say this, and this will be my parting thing with everybody. For conservatives and Republicans, when we vote, we win. This is what I say when I knock on your door, an hour before the poll close, and I'm coming to collect your ballot. I knock on the door and say, listen here, when we vote, we win. Where's the ballot? Let's go. Let's go. We have to get very, very aggressive when it comes to these low propensity voters and making sure they do the right thing. So yes, we have the good stick to hit them with, the bad stick to hit them with, but let's just make sure they vote. It's imperative to moving the country forward.
All right. Because folks, when we don't vote, you get people like Abigail Spanberger. Folks, she just breaking news out. She just signaled she won't honor ICE detainers for the illegal alien accused of murdering Stephanie Minter. All right. This is just, oh my gosh. And this was the guy who had 30
arrests.
Arrests, and they never deported him, and they kept letting him back out. This is what we have to deal with, folks. Vote.
But they love women. They support women.
Yeah.
Except for Iranian women. They don't support them. So.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.